So we live in a generation right now that we know that how protected people can be with what belongs to them. I don't know if we've been there, right? Whatever we worked hard for, whatever we've sacrificed for, we normally are very protective. From the moms and the fathers in the room, when you have your baby, who gets to play with your child? We become very protective. We guard our time, we guard our plans, our resources, our finances, because we believe they are essential for survival. I don't know about you, but if you feel like you're just surviving right now, raise your hand. Like, we live in a generation that it takes a lot, right? And a lot of those things come out of finances, right? A lot of those things we have to pay for. We have bills, we have things, school, we have jobs that we go to every day, and you're probably working more than what you're getting paid. Like, that's just the reality of what we live in today. And so we know that we're in a series called Treasures, and the series definition is an ownership issue. And I know, and I've been blessed by the series so far to know that our lives are not our own. So if you believe that you own your life, you tend to cling on to your life. And if you believe that God owns it, you tend to release it. So in this story, in the book of John, I'm going to kind of set the scene. We see here, this specific verse is in the middle of a story, the Samaritan woman. How many know that woman in the Bible? The Samaritan woman, a woman that has a history, a woman that has shame and guilt. And so we see that Jesus is traveling through Samaria, a place that Jews had no business being in because there were some conflict between Samaritans and Jews. So we see Jesus intentionally passes through Samaria because he had a divine appointment to get to. He said, I don't care about the cultural barriers. I need to get to someone that I know can have influence. He didn't care about her past. He didn't care about the status that she had. So he arrives at Jacob's well. And it says in the word that he was tired and he decided to go at the time of noon. That's significant because at the time of noon, I don't know if you've been on a summer day in New Jersey and you go around the beach at 12 o'clock, guess what? The sun is up and ready. It's normally a little bit more chilly at around 10 o'clock in the morning, or even in the later evenings around 4 or 5, the sun starts to become a little bit more calmer. But at 12 o'clock, the sun is ready and it's ready to get people tan. You know, that's what the sun at noon. So you're telling me that Jesus, because he was tired, he chose the hottest time of the day to go to a well. It makes no sense. He said he chose the correct time because he knew that he was going to meet somebody that had the same idea. Someone that was trying to hide, someone that was trying not to be able to be with other people. Mind you, her history was the very reason why she didn't want to go to the well where there was many people. So she approaches at an unusual time, a place of isolation, a place of heat. And oftentimes God will meet us there in those places. And when we don't expect him to show up, he shows up. So here we have the encounter where Jesus and the Samaritan woman have a conversation. And Jesus actually asks her, I need something to drink. Now we know Jesus didn't need no drink. We know that he wanted to read something in her heart that she may not have understood. And so he went to her and he says, I need a drink. And he's like, well, you're asking me, a Samaritan woman? Like, we're not even supposed to be talking. But he wasn't speaking about natural water, right? He wasn't speaking about the water that the people used as a sense of survival during those times. He was talking about a living water, an eternal satisfaction that she had not experienced yet. So survival says, in her mind, I need to keep coming back to this well. But Jesus responds and he says that I am your source. So I want to talk about the weight of the jar, what she carried. Now in those times, and even today, the water itself was essential for survival. During those times, you use water for everything. And if the water was not clean, then there will be diseases and sicknesses that can come up. But in that time, water was the very reason why people survived day to day. So no running water, it was inconvenient. And now you see him, and I want you to imagine this woman walking every single day to go to the well. Can you bring it to me? walking every single day to go to the well. And during those times, those jars weighed about 40 to 50 pounds when carried, full with water. 40 to 50 pounds. Now, this is not filled with water because I was not going to be able to carry it. But already the jar during those times were already heavy. It was already heavy. It were made out of clay. And they were super heavy. Could you imagine this woman every single day going up and down just to receive water, carrying the weight of her survival, carrying the weight that was going to last her only a couple of days? But yet she picked up her jar and she continued to go. And so we know that it was costly, but it was necessary for daily responsibility. So the jar represents survival routines. It represents emotional burdens. I don't know if you can relate to this woman. Identity tied to responsibility. What she depends on to function, to work. So what you carry every day eventually begins to carry you. You start to carry something out of habit. You start to carry something because you know that that's just routine. It may not even be working, but guess what? You've done it every single day. And so for some of you, the jar isn't just water. It's the pressures of life. It's waking up every day already tired. It's being the strong one for everybody else when you're the one who's needing of the water. It's providing, it's performing, and it's pretending that you're okay, but yet you're still carrying the jar, the weight. So we want to go get the daily water. And we know this woman came every day. A place where people normally connected. A place where people mingled. She wanted to go on her own. So some of you may not be in crisis, you're just stuck in cycles. Now, in this story, if you don't know about her past, she had at least 5 husbands. This woman, if she didn't have to figure it out by herself, she could always go to somebody. But yet, why is she carrying the water to the well? You can only think, right? There's people that could have done it for her due to her history, but yet her routine was what? To wake up, to work, to stress, and repeat. To wake up, to work, stress, and repeat. To wake up, to work, to stress, and repeat. That's like some of y'all lives right now. Where we get up, we get to work. We don't even get time to pray to God, right? And we go to work, and we're stressed out already in work. How we wake up tired, but yet we sleep 7 hours. But yeah, we're tired. We're tired of the things. We're tired of, especially, I'm talking about the woman in the room. We're tired of people pulling on us. You know, we have our children that we love so dearly. We have the husband that loves us so dearly. But guess what? That doesn't stop us from being a mother, from being a wife. It's the pull and pressures of life. So just because it's normal doesn't mean it's life-giving. So you could do everything in your power, right, every day just to survive. But just because it's working in the moment does not mean it's giving you life. Sometimes it's going to be depleting you. Sometimes carrying this eventually starts to become a burden, right? The water, a sense of life, is now becoming a burden. So I want to speak to the people that feel exhausted. We've learned how to function heavy. We learned how to do ministry heavy. We've learned how to be a mother heavy. We learned how to be a father heavy. We've learned to do these different functions without a smile on our face. But yet we smile, we serve, we show up, but we're carrying weight. And right now my arm's about to fall off because guess what? It's heavy. I'm serious, and this is a long journey that she had to go through, so I can only imagine this filled with water and having to continue. And the crazy part is, we've gotten so used to it that we don't even question it anymore. We've gotten so used to the weight that we don't question, why are we carrying this weight? Why are we allowing our lives not to be aligned to who Jesus is? Why are we not allowing God to work in our lives the way He wants to? But no, we want to control the weight. We want to control the source of life. We want to control the freedom. Because as long as I have this is although uncomfortable for me, this may have been comfort for her. A time she got to be by herself. A time that she gets to be in isolation. A time where she wasn't going to be judged. A time where she wasn't expecting nobody to be there. But at the right time, she arrives at the well, not knowing what she was about to encounter. So honestly, we don't drop the jar because we need it. You may say to yourself, well, I need the finances. I need to pay the bills. I need to get my children through school. I need this money. I need my bank account to be a certain status to be considered okay in this generation. I need it. And this is exactly the attitude the woman had. I need this. This is going to be my source of life for the next few days. I can't skip a time, right? She went there, come on, y'all better do it with me. She came every, why? Because she needed it. And she says, if I don't go home with the water, then I'm going to suffer. And a lot of times, look, you know what? This thing is, all right. You saw how easy that was? Ooh. And I'm going to go somewhere with that. When we have a time where we think that it's easier to carry the weight, it honestly is going to deplete you. It's going to kill you within yourself. And so today I want to remind you that you have to come see it for yourself. You can't have the next person tell you, well, God is faithful, God is good, He's going to come through for you. No, you have to come see it for yourself. So if you struggle with tithing, you have to come see it for yourself. If you struggle with giving, you're going to have to come see it for yourself. If you struggle with being faithful, you got to see it for yourself. And I know finances are always a touchy subject, but this is not all about finances. This is about real life that people are carrying, and they do not want to let it go because they've been so used to it. They said, well, I earn about this amount of money every month, right? And I'm so used to doing whatever it is that I want with that money, but yet you're still living in poverty. Yet you're still so bitter. Yet you're still struggling with things that you are yet to give to God because of a simple sacrificial seed that He's asking from you. So we don't even question it anymore. So then now, the revelation, right? Where Jesus is being revealed. He reveals her life, not to condemn her, right? He knew exactly who she was. But yet, that was an exact divine appointment to meet her, not what she pretends to be. He knew that in that very moment, she wasn't going to be fake. Remember, she went there to be by herself. She had burdens, things that she was carrying for so many years, waiting just for somebody to see her, waiting for just somebody to say, you know what, I've seen you come alone X amount of times, someone to be accountable for her. But yet, she finds herself with a man that reveals his life to her. In Psalms 55, verse 22, it says, cast your burdens on who? On Him, the Lord. He shall sustain you, and He shall never permit the righteous to be moved. Remember, He will never permit the righteous to be moved. If we're not acting in righteousness, guess what? We're already disqualified. If we're not acting in holiness, guess what? We're already disqualified. Because who He calls that He would sustain is somebody that has made a decision to say, okay, I'm going to let go of whatever it is that I'm holding on to, whether it is my job, whether it is my family, whatever it is, the concerns of everyday bills, I'm going to give it to the Lord. But if you don't give it to the Lord, He has no access to move in what you have. If you don't give it to the Lord, you're going to go under your own understanding and even the opinions of others that will then take you to more chaos, more destruction. But when we give it to God, and the hardest part about giving it to God is because we actually don't even know. But that's the part of faith. We don't know. But yet we believe. We may not see it for ourselves, but yet we believe. It says Hebrews 12:1, it says, therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. You cannot run with weight on top of you. I wish I could try, but I'm not going to. Have that over my shoulder and try to run with it. Guess what? Either it's going to fall and shatter, or the water is going to come out to the point where now the jar is what? It's empty. So what's the point? I'm tired, and now I have no source of life. That's no living. But people are living like that now, where they're going, running, time after time, exhausting themselves, not understanding the potential that they have because they want to keep a weight they think they can do better with. We think that we can do better with. So God reveals what you carry so he can release what is weighing you down. So we see in John chapter 4:28, we see that she leaves her jar behind. What changed? What changed from a woman that was so used to going to the well every day? There was value in the jar for her. There was value every single day. There was value. And so in this moment, she has an encounter with the Lord and she leaves her jar. What changed? She saw for herself. She said, I can only imagine the excitement of letting go of the weight. I can only imagine the satisfaction of the living water when she let go of the physical water. She let go of the physical water. And a lot of us, because we are so clinged onto the things of materialistic, we lose the revelation of what God is trying to do in our spirit. What is it to live with everything and then lose everything in your heart? Lose the peace, lose the joy, lose the happiness. What's going to happen when the time comes and the time is running out? And you're telling God, well, I've done so much for you. And I've ran my race. And I've done everything you told me to do. And God will look at you and say, well, I don't even know you. You haven't consumed my living water. You've used your own living water. That was slowly killing you. What happens when we drink water that's been contaminated? I went to a mission trip with a ministry called Filter of Hope. It was about like 2 years ago. And if you don't know me, I love mission trips. I love going out there because when I tell you my life, each and every time has been realigned. And I went out there specifically for water. And the ministry itself focuses on clean water. And they teach the people, and they bring a filter to these countries to be able to filter the water from dirty to clean. And I wish I had it with me because y'all would have been blown away. I'm telling y'all, because that's how I felt. They will grab dirt, and just for a demonstration, right? They will grab dirt, put it in the water, and now the water is what? It's dirty. And they will tell the person, hey, here, drink it. Nobody in their right mind is going to drink that dirty water. But it was a demonstration. So they said, no, we're not going to drink that water. They ended up going and putting a filter on a jar. Ooh, I don't know if y'all catching this. They put a filter on the jar so that whatever is coming out of the jar that was contaminated will go through the filter and become pure, cleaning water. It's something that you have to see. And the crazy part is, and this is crazy, we were doing this, and when we got the clean water, we would give it to the same people. Guess what? No, they didn't want to drink it. They didn't want to drink it because they couldn't believe in their eyes that the water was actually clean. Because what they saw was what? That it was dirty. So how can it be clean? And so it took a little bit to convince them, no, it's actually clean water. But in my understanding, I feel as though these people were so used to dirty water and so contaminated with all these things in the water. Because remember, in those times, they would grab the water from the river and use the water for the river and clean with it and wash themselves with it and cook with it. And there was a lot of people sick in that area because they still needed water to what? Survive. They needed it to survive. And so in that moment, finally, I feel like we were like pressing, right? We were like, yo, this is going to save your life. Like this is, and I found myself relating that to the gospel. Like we feel like we have to beg people to believe in a God, in a gospel that's going to save their lives. But a lot of us, again, are so caught up in what's contaminated because all we know, we function with contaminated water. Although it's almost killed us, we are so used to it. We're so used to being in bitterness. We're so used to being in hatred. We're so used to being stingy and greedy. We're so used to being in those things that we are yet, when we come into Jesus, can I actually change? Can I actually move in where you want me to move? Can I actually be clean? We struggle. And then I remember this little girl comes out of the crowd when all the adults were like, I don't know, this is a little sus, like I don't know if this is going to be good for me. The little girl comes excited. A little girl didn't care whether it was going to be dirty or if it was going to be clean. You know why? Because her heart said, I need water. And she runs up and she grabs that cup and she chugs it like she's never drank water in her entire life. And it reminds me of the Samaritan woman, where she finally got into an encounter with Jesus for who he was. Not something that she can bring to him. She knows she couldn't bring nothing to him. She was already disqualified by so many people. She was already looked over. But she saw a man that saw her. And right now, Jesus sees you. And he says, if you can only come see for yourself of my faithfulness, of my goodness, you can let go of the jar. You can let go of the jar. And so here the woman lets go of her jar. She lets go of survival routine. She lets go of what she believed was beneficial to her because she knew that system did not work anymore. And if you come to Christ, right, we have a lot of new believers in the church that have recently given their hearts to the Lord, anywhere from 5 years to even a week ago, right? And I want people to understand that in this time, just like the Samaritan woman, we take too long holding that jar. And then we want to blame God. We want to blame God and say, why am I still dealing with X, Y, and Z? Why am I still suffering with temptations and suffering with the same relationships? It's because you haven't let go of a jar. You have to let go of the jar. If you want to walk into whatever God has for you in your life, you have to let go of the jar. And something that I love this song that we always play it and it has me in tears every time, that he's the God of the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chance. And I've lived that personally myself, where I was in the church knowing who he was, but yet I still was disobedient time after time after time after time. Because look, you know the Nicole that's a leader now. You know the Nicole that's a spiritual leader now, right? And you see, and I'm up here, and I still have my struggles, and I still continue forward, but you don't know the Nicole that failed 3-4 times ago. I was that Samaritan woman. I was that woman seeking validation from X, Y, and Z. I was that woman that wanted to feel seen. Growing up without parents is not an easy thing, and so I looked into the world to see what it is it has to offer me. And so when I tell you that you're going to fail in this life, that's okay. And I'm going to tell you that if you're going to make a mistake in this life, that's okay. Because I feel as though that each and every time I've gotten up, I've gotten stronger. Each and every time I've gotten up, I've gotten wiser. And so I'm telling somebody in this place, if you feel as though that you cannot go to the next step, I promise you, let him be your living water today. Let him be who carries your life today. Don't rely on your own understanding and old systems and old ways to determine your future. Because when you come to Christ, whatever it is that you have within you has to be left in it has to be left in the jar. And this woman understood. She didn't take too much time at the well anymore. As soon as she had the encounter with the Lord, she said, forget that jar. Then what she does, she goes into the city. She goes back to the people that judged her. She goes back to the people that criticized her. She didn't care what they said about her because she knew what God said about her. She knew what the Christ, the King of Kings, said about her. And so when she goes to the people, she doesn't mind offending people. She doesn't mind having people be upset. You know why? Because she says, I need you to go see it. I need you to see it for yourself. Nothing that I can tell you would ever convince you. I can stand here and preach the gospel Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday after Wednesday, but guess what? It's until you see it for yourself that you're going to be able to then walk in what God has called you to walk in. And you may say, why, Nicole, are you so passionate about this? It's because I lived it. I lived it. I lived it. It's a struggle. It's a race. And guess what? The struggle doesn't stop. The struggle does not stop. But you know what changes? Perspective changes. Maturity changes. And I promise you, it was difficult for that Samaritan woman to then go back to her old place acting new. Go into an old place acting brand new, because another person, an unbeliever, a believer that doesn't recognize, will see a woman like that and judge her still. Judge her in her lust, and I'm going to judge you in your transformation. That's what people do. And I've come to learn that in the church. That whether I'm doing good or bad, guess what? People go still judge me. But let it be God. Right? I'm not worried about what man says about me. This is what the woman had, right? This experience. I'm not worried about what man says about me. I'm worried about what God sees in me. And that was her encounter. She sees a man who told her everything she's ever done. There was no hiding. She was vulnerable. She had a true encounter. And so I question, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't mean this to be offensive to anybody in the room. But I do question when people get stuck. And we find ourselves in seasons where we feel like we're stuck. Because when every single person in the Bible, right, and I always go back to what the word says, it's when they've met Jesus. I mean, like, met Jesus. And like I'm talking about encounter, not just experience. We have a lot of experience. We've had a lot of altar moments. But yet we go back home living the same way. No encounter, just emotion, just feeling, right? But when we've had an encounter, he changes your life. Like, he doesn't change the chaos around you, because a lot of times those chaos are built to be in your life for you to stay on your knees, right? But he changes what's inside of you, because if he can change your heart and he can change your mind, it don't matter what surrounds you anymore. Right? Remember, the Samaritan woman went back to the same circumstance. Nothing in the city was new to her. Nothing in the city changed, right? But it was her testimony that changed the lives of the people, because even the people said, well, we have to go see it for ourselves. They have to go see it for themselves, because they were like, well, this woman, we know about this woman. I don't know if we can believe this woman. Like, she comes with her baggage. She probably a liar, someone that was just not trustworthy, right, in society during that time. But I still wondered that there was a brightness to her this time. I wondered there was a change in her this time. And there may have been people that had doubted, yes, but there were people that were willing. There were people that you said, man, I see that it's changed her. I need to go see it for myself, to go change myself. So come see for yourself that Jesus still transforms. Come see for yourself that he encounters and he changes who you are. And you may think that you are not able to be changed. There's people that believe that. There's people that believe that they can stay in the way that they are all the time, especially us Hispanics. That's just how I am. I'm loud because that's just how I am. I talk like this because that's just how I am. And that's demonic. You know why? Because we live in a fleshly body. We live already with sin inside of us. And you know why you're so comfortable with that? Because that's what the enemy uses. is your comfortability to stay the way that you are. If I wanted to stay like my parents, if I wanted to stay like anybody that tried to influence me growing up, guess what? I would not be standing here right now, because I would have kept my identity to be something that God did not call me to be. But yet we use the excuse of saying that my family has done this for years. And we use the excuse, well, that's just how we do it here. And that's not what God says, because he looks at the Samaritan woman and he says, you know, you don't have to be the way that you are. But I love you the way that you are. But I love you too much to keep you that way. Because I know that where you're heading is towards destruction. And he cares more about your heart than what you could ever bring to him. He knows you can't bring nothing to him. He knows that we as fallen generation, he actually gave to us. And he said, I need you to understand that I need to give you what? My son. Because I know you couldn't do it by yourself. I know you can't do it by yourself. And a lot of people in the church try. And they try. And they try. And they try. But yet, there has to come a place of encounter with the Lord. You have to be tired the way you're living. And I see it all the time. I see it on Facebook posts. I see it in the church. I see it through relationships, through friendships. I see that people are just tired. They're just tired. Just like the Samaritan woman going up and down the hill, I can only assume. Up and down the hill, carrying something so heavy, just trying to get relief anywhere that she can get relief. But we're getting relief all in the wrong places. We're getting relief on people. We're getting relief on things that are ultimately going to kill us. But today, she dropped what she needed for survival, and she encountered what she needed for life. She needed it for life, and that is our Jesus. So ownership determines what you hold. Encounter, that's my biggest thing today. Encounter determines what you release. So what you release will be directly tied to the encounter you have with Jesus. Let's rise to our feet. And as we begin to speak to the Lord, right, because I believe that there's nothing that I can say or do to convince you, right? You have to see it for yourself. You have to experience it for yourself. And some of you in the room right now may be experiencing cycles in your life, and you're wondering, well, why am I still in this walk? Why am I still pressing through? Why am I still struggling with certain things? And so today, I don't want it just to be just like any other Sunday. There's people that are relying on you. Just like the Samaritan woman with her jar, I'm assuming that water wasn't just to feed herself. It wasn't just to feed herself, but who was back waiting for her? And instead of, I can only imagine, right? Family, other men, I can only imagine they're waiting for water, but yet they receive what? The good news of Jesus. They were waiting for water, but yet they experienced Jesus. You may be waiting for something God is doing in your life. You may be waiting for more money. You could be waiting for the right relationship. You could be waiting for the right career path. You could be waiting for the right children. You could be waiting for those so many things. But what God wants to express this morning is that if you just allow me to see you for who you are, and take you for who you are, those other things might not even be worried. You might not even be worried about them. All those materialistic things that we seek after, you might not even be worried about that no more. Why? Because Jesus has completely consumed your life. Again, not for anything that you could give to him, but what he's trying to give to you today. Fresh living water. A desperation for who he is. But we don't know who he is because we don't spend time with who he is. We haven't fully surrendered with who he is. Because we know he's the God of peace, the God of love, that we must be satisfied by him and him alone. Don't seek after these things that will only end up killing you. Don't seek after your own desires, because guess what? They're going to lead you to destruction. At the end of the day, nothing matters in this life unless your soul is connected to who is going to save you. Nothing matters in this life. No car, no house, not even children that you may not be able to have. Nothing will save you from this life until you surrender to God. Because tomorrow is not promised. You may not be promised even when you go to bed tonight to wake up in the morning. Where would you be? Like, really ask yourself, where would you be in a time where the world wants to teach you that materialistic things is something good? That the more that you have, the better. But no, God wants to remind you that today, you're not promised tomorrow, so why not just give it to me? If He's the owner of it, why not just give it to Him? Why not allow Him to carry it? Because He's chosen to carry it on the cross. Why are you still holding on to it? He chose to carry it on the cross. Why are you still holding on to it? He already suffered and died on the cross for your sin. Why are you still holding on to it? Knowing what it cost the Savior of the world, the slashes on His back, the rejection from many people when He was only trying to show love, what He suffered. But yet it cost us so much to be holy. But yet it costs us so much to live righteous. They don't compare. They do not compare. And so we know Jesus is the one that carries it. We know Jesus is the one that was built for it. And today I want you to remind you that let Him carry it. Come see for yourself that He can do more for you than what you can do for yourself. Come see it for yourself and your family and your workplace and everything that you have going on in your life. Come see for yourself that guess what? That He has allowed you to carry this jar for just a season, for just a moment. But that today, He wants to carry it for a lifetime. He wants to carry it for a lifetime. So if this word has spoken to you, we're going to have our prayer team up here ready to serve you, to pray for you. Don't let this day pass by. You can say, I've been in the church consistently, but have you been in the word consistently? We don't want just attendance in the four walls of the building. We want attendance in the word of God. We want attendance in the prayer life. We want attendance when God's calling you in the middle of the night, knocking on your door, saying, I need you to wake up and intercede. I need somebody to wake up this morning and understand that God has been calling you, and He's been calling you for a very long time. Stop running away from it. Stop rejecting it. Stop putting it in the back burner. You need to understand that, again, tomorrow is not promised. And the Lord will say one day when He goes to heaven, what have you done with what I have given you? What will you say? What have you done with what I have given you in your hands to steward, to multiply, to elevate? But yet you are sitting here right now not being able to move forward because we have weight. And it's heavy. This is not a judgment preaching. I promise you. I'm not judging because I'm living it and I've lived it. And I've seen God provide. I've seen God show up. I've seen God save my life multiple times, time and time again, protecting my peace, protecting my self-image, protecting who I am, and not letting the enemy trample with my heart. And not letting the enemy navigate my life. No. He has no authority. It's God that has the authority. And because God lives in you, now what? You have the authority. So if this has spoken to your life, if you're tired of living the same way you're living, and you're saying, God, I want to go into a different level. I want to let go of the weight fully, right? If ministry is your weight, let it go. If ministry is your weight, let it go. And not to say let go of the task. I'm saying let go of the ministry and give it to God. Don't allow yourself to get so busy that you forget the reason why you're doing it. Don't allow yourself to get busy. Because even if you're doing a good thing, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing when it comes to God. Because he can say, well, you've saved thousands, but yet you're going to lose your life. It don't make no sense. But save your life through Jesus to win many. So if that is you, come right in the middle. We're going to be praying for you. Amen.